Mu kaseera nga kano ke tulimu ak'okweteekerateekera okulonda akabeera kaseera kavaawo mpitewo era kaseera akabeera ebbize ennyo era ng'ensonga eba yeetoolera ku nsonga byakulonda era nga bannamawulire baba n'omulimu gw'amaanyi okuba nti bawa abantu amawulire n'okubategeeza biki ebigenda mu maaso mu nsi y'ebyokulonda oba ebyobufuzi bw'eggwanga lyattu Uganda. Era kino tekyawukana nnyo n'ekigenda mu maaso oba ekiriwo mu kaseera kano nga tweteekerateekera okulonda kwa bonna okw'omwaka 2026 nga bingi ebibeeramu omuli okuba nti mubaamu vaawo mpitewo kwani asinga amaanyi ani alina okukola ki eri bannamawulire awamu ne bannabyabufuzi era ng'ebiseera ebisinga tugenda otuuka okumaliriza obanga enteekateeka zonna zigenda mu maaso ng'abamu bafunyeemu obuvune abalala bakwatiddwa ebintu byononeddwa ebakozesebwa n'ebirala nga kino kiri wansi w'okulinnyirira eddembe lyabwe nga bannamawulire nga bakola omulimu gwabwe. Mu nsonga ng'eno ekitongole ekirwanirira oba ekyongera okusomesa ku nsonga y'eddembe lya bannamawulire ekimanyikiddwa nga African Institute for Investigative Journalism nga kikwataganyeko ne Uganda National NGO Forum bakwataganyamu kulaba nti babangula bannamawulire okuva mu buvanjuba bw'eggwanga ku butya bwe balina okuba nti baripootinga oba bakola ku mawulire agalimu ensonga y'okulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu n'ebintu ebirala ebigwa mu kkowe eryo era nga buno babanguddwa butya bwe balina okuba nti baapurokinga oba bakwatamu ensonga z'amawulire agali mu kulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu butya bwe balina okugakolamu butya bwe balina okulaba nti tebatunulirwa nga bali mu kyekubira nga bakola emirimu gyabwe n'okulaba nti basigala nga bakola emirimu gyabwe nga batambulira mu kyetuyita ethics oba mu nkola ennungamu bwe balina okuba nti bakolera. Ye Solomon Serwanja nga ye mukulu w'ekibiina kino oba executive director yakubiriza bannamawulire okulaba nti bongera okusima ennyo okulaba nti batuuka ku mazima agabagala ku nsonga ebebaddewo naddala nga yakulinnyira ddembe lya buntu era n'abakubiriza okulaba nti bakozesa gadget yonna gye balina kebeere essimu kebeere kamera kebeere recorder okulaba nti bakwata ebyo ebikolwa ebikolebwa oba bitongole byakwerinda n'abalala bonna ababeera mu nsonga y'okulinnya eddembe ly'obuntu okulaba olw'ensonga nti obutambi buno obukwatibwa busobola okukozesebwa oyinza okuba si nkya oba luli wabula mu kaseera konna okulaba nti abagufuula omugano okulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu bakwatibwako singa akaseera kaba katuuse era ng'okukwatibwako obujulizi obwo buba bulina okukozesebwa. Ye mulindwa ng'ono ava mu kitongole ekya National NGO Forum yakubiriza bannamawulire okulaba nti bonna babasomesezza babiteeka mu nkola n'okulaba nti bongera okuba nti beebuulirira n'okulaba nti batambulira ku mugendo omutuufu ogw'amawulire ago ge basoma naye bwe basoma bye balina okuba nti babitambuliramu. Byonna ensingano nga yabadde y'abamawulire mu kuba nti babangulwa ku nsonga y'okuripootinga ku ddembe ly'obuntu tugenda bikutuusako ku Mosan Media.
Tomorrow it is you. And God forbid when they come for you and you kept quiet when they came for others. I mean, when they abduct everyone else, you keep quiet. You're like, Kastanze, and you don't speak out. I think it's all of us must do something to defend each other's rights. Rita, when they arrest you, abduct you, what will happen? And we all keep quiet and life goes on. For me, I'm fine. Oh, you read to buy a guy, I don't even know. Why did she even say those things? And you're in there and no one can talk for you. It can be bad. So, this means that when violations are happening on another person, we have to make it our responsibility. Especially more so as journalists. Because tomorrow when you're in the same position, who will stay silent? So, as a journalist, you have a moral obligation to actually investigate these violations.
The Uganda National NGO Forum is cooperating with the African Institute for Investigative Journalism to conduct refresher trainings for journalists across the country. Today, we have been having a training with journalists from Eastern Uganda, from Soga, from Bukedi, from Bugisu, from Teso, and generally the surrounding districts around Jinja. And the purpose is simple. Journalists play a very crucial role in our society. They are eyes and ears of society and literally the mirror of society. So journalists help a lot in shedding light on stories that happen every day in our societies, in our communities. Some of them sad stories, but some of them good stories that deserve to be celebrated. Now, as you all know, we are now getting into the electoral period. It's a period that comes with a lot of excitement, and sometimes, unfortunately, bad incidents happen during this period. People fight, people are unfairly treated, and the like. So it's important that so the kind of conversation we're having with journalists is that where they go out to execute their work as journalists, the key emphasis that has been part of this training is the impartiality in the way journalists do their work. Our trainers have been talking to journalists about how to execute their work as journalists with a high level of professionalism, to execute duty without any bias, without any sort of bad intent in the way that the work is done. Because the journalists, if any bad information or inaccurate information is conveyed out to the public, it's taken as gospel truth because it's coming from the journalists. So today we spent time in helping journalists understand how best they can carry out their duties and functions as journalists. So the security forces and journalists or the media in general, they are pillars that are important and should coexist. Journalists have a mandate to execute in reporting, because this is their role. But also the security forces also have a mandate to execute. They're in charge of our security and stability even during elections. What we emphasize and call out to all parties, like today when we're engaging with journalists, is to say there should be cooperation and respect, mutual respect, as each of the entities carries out its roles. We, for instance, advise journalists on how they should be able to execute their duties without necessarily provoking security forces into regrettable acts. So we believe that the two can coexist. The security is able to go on and execute its mandate of keeping law and order, where the journalists also carry out their work of informing the public of the processes that unfold even during elections. Moses Mulindwa. I work with the Uganda National NGO Forum.
Elections. Ashraf Kasirye is in the US receiving treatment. There are journalists who were beaten and promised never to come back into the newsroom. Now you may notice that many of the newsrooms have new young journalists. Literally, about half of the newsrooms in Uganda are having new young reporters covering elections for the very first time. With passion, with energy, perhaps also scared of what could befall them. So I think the first thing that as we get into elections, I want to call upon security officers that while they work to maintain security, our job is to cover elections without fear or favor. And they should respect us while doing our job. So at this time, we don't expect to be beaten like dogs as we were beaten in the previous elections or even in the Kawempe by-elections. There was a targeted attack on media. Journalists were putting on press jackets, press helmets with IDs that identify them as members of the Fourth Estate were targeted deliberately. And I think that sent a chilling effect in several newsrooms. And very many editors are thinking twice about deploying their reporters to cover elections. And so I think what we are requesting, security operatives, please respect our job, respect us as we do our work to inform the public. We will also respect you while you're doing your job. So at this end, we want to call for accountability. Accountability for comrades who are battered, who were beaten, who were broken, and there's not been anyone who has been arrested. We all remember the gruesome pictures of Ashraf Kasirye bleeding profusely. He almost lost his life. We remember the journalists who were beaten during the Kawempe by-election. What happened to men and women who committed those atrocities? We are hurting. We are but just part of the broader community that is hurting. whose rights have been violated. But what we have seen is the scales of justice are not balancing. Why isn't the DPP interested in opening charges against those that committed those atrocities? Should we say that there is sided justice in this country? The Directorate of Public Prosecution needs to be interested in the people who committed those atrocities and be brought to book. What we have, however, seen is that some of these military officers who committed these atrocities have been redeployed and taken elsewhere or promoted for those violations. And so it's really sad that people who commit these atrocities still live amongst us, and they're going to come back in these elections. And my job here is to encourage every journalist to record these violations, to film and take pictures of people committing these violations. It may not be now, it may not even be tomorrow, it may not even be in the next 1 year, but surely that evidence will be used to put those people to account. We have seen dictators who have been taken to prison now or face the ICC because of evidence that was collected then, and now it is being used against them, and the scales of justice are balancing now, some of them even years after they have left power. So for me, it is going to be very important for us as journalists to collect video evidence, pictorial evidence that puts people on location for violations that they commit so that justice prevails.